G'day everyone, I'm Diane. Welcome back to the Rolling Artisan channel. This week I made quite a bit more progress on my bus door. If you've been watching my previous videos, you'll know that I'm modifying the entry door to my bus so that it hangs differently and opens fully outward. So I've made quite a bit more progress on that this week, but I've also at the same time uncovered some more problems that I'm going to have to fix. Sometimes this bus conversion feels like it's one step forward and two steps back. But this is just another challenge that I have to overcome, and it's just going to take me a little bit more time to get this project done. I've done quite a bit of work on this frame. I've removed as much of the glue and remnant bits of Laminex that I could, so it's looking a lot cleaner now. I've also sanded off all the loose bits of the rust. I didn't have a sanding disc for my grinder, so I just used an orbital sander, and it actually worked pretty well. So I've got all of the loose rust off and sanded this back a little bit. I don't really want to sand it back too much because I'm a bit worried about going right through the steel here. It feels pretty solid still, so my plan is I'm actually going to coat the entire frame as much as I can with Penetrol. Now the frame has got quite a lot of little holes in it from where the rivets and screws were, so what I'm actually going to do is with my Penetrol I'm going to try and squirt as much as I can to the inside of the frame as well, just to try and coat the inside as much as possible. Obviously I'm not going to be able to get it all, but I'm going to try and do that just to maximize the rust protection as much as I can. So this is where I'm at with the door frame. It's all been cleaned up. I've removed all the loose pieces of surface rust, sanded it all back, and I've painted it all. I've given it one thorough coat of Penetrol, and I've saturated the rusty areas both inside and out, hopefully. The idea with the Penetrol is that it completely seals the rust and prevents it from getting any worse, and also helps to protect the solid metal from developing rust in the future. So it's had one full coat of Penetrol, and I'm just going to leave it at that for now because I may need to weld in some extra pieces depending on where the hinges have to be mounted. So there may be some pieces that need to be added into this frame before I can mount the door. So I'm going to wait until I've done that, and then once I've got the frame exactly how I want it to be for mounting the door, then I'll go and give it all another coat of Penetrol and paint it with the metal primer as well. But for now it's just got the one coat, which will help to keep it protected until I decide what else needs to be done with it. The next thing I want to do is get a good look at the frame in the doorway so I can work out whether there's anything I need to do to modify the frame before I rehang the door. In order to do that I need to remove this stainless steel trim. It looks like it's just riveted on, so hopefully I'll just be able to drill out all those rivets and then hopefully pry it off without damaging the fiberglass on the other side. Somewhere behind this trim there should be a vertical upright of the frame. So I just want to see what sort of condition it's in and whether I'll be able to bolt the hinges of the door onto it. Well, I managed to get the stainless steel trim off without too much bother actually, which was surprising. I didn't get any footage of it, sorry, because it's just too hard in this little space to fit my light that I needed to work and the camera and everything else. So, but basically it was just a matter of drilling out all the rivets, and then it was pretty easy to pry off. There was a bit of glue between it and the fiberglass and the metal on the other side, but it wasn't too bad, which is good. Unfortunately, fixing what's underneath is not going to be as easy a job. I did find more rust. Not really surprising given how badly the door was leaking. It is unfortunate because of where the rust is, and it's going to be a little bit of a challenge to fix it, but I'll show you what it looks like. So this is what was behind that stainless steel panel that I took off. This vertical pillar that is at the front corner of the bus is what you can see here. It's painted red and it's still got quite a bit of the white glue stuck to it. For most of its length, it's actually in very good condition. Like, it's super solid. It has almost no rust at all. But unfortunately, as you get closer to the bottom of this pillar, it starts to get more and more surface rust. And at the very bottom where it meets the bottom of the stairwell, it's actually completely rusted out. So this pillar, it should be like a square tube with 4 sides, and 2 of the sides at the very bottom are completely rusted out. There's also another piece of metal that's been welded on at right angles to this main pillar, and it was serving as the backing for the fiberglass skin on the other side. It's also really badly rusted, especially at the bottom, but actually along the edge, it's rusted out pretty much for the entire length. So I'm going to have to remove this piece as well. And then I realised that the only way to get a really good look at the rest of the frame, particularly in that bottom corner, was to remove the steps. It was a bit of work to lift this checker plate up off the frame. I had to get the crowbar out, but I eventually managed it. And thankfully, the frame underneath the stairwell is actually in excellent condition with almost no rust. So it's really only that bottom corner where the vertical pillar meets the lower part of the frame, and hopefully it won't take too much to fix it. So obviously now I need to do a bit of work to clean up this door frame area. I need to cut all these rusted bits out. This is going to be quite tricky to get this out without damaging the fiberglass that's up against it. I'd like to try and keep the fiberglass in this section if possible, although I do need to take some time and have a good look at how the door's actually going to be hinged. And where it's going to seal up, because I may actually be able to cut some of this fiberglass. I'm just not 100% sure yet. So I want to take my time doing this and make sure I don't cut out anything that I'm going to want later on. But obviously I need to get rid of all this rusted metal and fix up the rusted bit of this pillar at the bottom. Because the frame of the step area is in such good condition, I think I'm just going to be able to weld in some extra support pieces. I'm certainly not going to have to replace this whole pillar. I'll just cut a bit away from the bottom and weld some support pieces in there. And then I need to look at what else needs to go in this area, what other pieces of steel or whatever I'm going to need to mount the door. So a bit of thinking and a bit of planning to do before I start to really tackle this.